channel. My name is Rashida. Today we will be talking about questions that you may be asked during your grad school interviews. I mentioned in a previous video that I'm developing application materials for you guys for grad school. You guys know I wasn't a straight A student. I really had to work hard to learn how to finesse in a way and in order to get into my dream school. So now I'm sharing my tips with you guys to help you get into your dream schools. So this is a good video to watch if you have an interview coming up, just so you can start thinking about the answers that you're going to give, and I'll give you a couple of tips on how to answer these questions. So the first common question that you will get is, tell me about yourself. And we've all heard about the elevator pitch. You need to know how to brag about yourself in a matter of a couple of minutes, 2 minutes tops. It needs to be engaging, it needs to be interesting. So find someone to practice your elevator pitch with. I have one for interviews, I have one for grad school interviews. Make sure you have an elevator pitch for every situation. It will be extremely important for your grad school interviews. The second most common question that I got is, why do you want to be a insert whatever it is that you're interviewing for? So when I was interviewing for nursing school, why do you want to be a nurse? When I interviewed for PhD programs, they asked me, why do you want a nursing PhD? So that's something that you want to take the time to think about. I know that it seems like a simple question, but some of us want to be what we want to be for so long that sometimes we lose sight of it, or we can't even find a way to verbalize it. So it's something you want to start thinking about early on, because they're going to ask you why you want to be there. They want someone who wants to be there. So try to make that engaging as well and make it interesting, and don't just say because I want to help people, because everyone's saying that. Make it personal and interesting. If you're interviewing for a research-based program like a PhD, the third most common question that you're definitely going to be asked is, what is your research interest? Even if you're not 100% sure, like you want to research a certain disease or a certain group of people, then just focus on that. Look up what other people are researching. Like if you decide, for example, for me, I have an interest in cardiovascular health. So if I wasn't sure exactly what kind of route I wanted to take, I would look at what people at that institution were studying in reference to cardiovascular health. So if there was someone looking at medication adherence, I would look at their work and say, like, is that a route that I want to take? And that's a good way to start getting your wheels turning, because they want someone who kind of knows what they want to do. And in a lot of research programs, you end up changing your mind anyway, but they want someone who wants at least an idea of what they want to do. So that's something you should start thinking about as well. The fourth common question that you'll get asked is, what do you plan on doing with the degree? So for this one, I know that the world is changing, job descriptions are changing, everything's changing, and you really don't know where you're going to end up, but they like to know that you at least have a plan. And I think that plan sometimes helps motivate you. I know it does for me. Like when I need a little bit of motivation, I think about all the jobs that I could be working with a nursing PhD. I look up jobs that you could be working, because they are most likely going to ask you, why do you want this degree? What are you going to do with it? The fifth most common question is my least favorite. What are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? So you already plugged yourself a little bit when you told them a little bit about yourself. Now it's time to circle back and get more specific about your strengths. And in terms of weaknesses, what they like to see is that you can acknowledge where your imperfections lie, but also you learn from your mistakes. So you don't just leave it at, I am stubborn. You leave it at, I really noticed that I can be a little stubborn at times, but I'm working on learning how to compromise, and I'm doing it by doing X, Y, and Z. Maybe you've read books on how to be less stubborn, or you've been working with people and noticed that you've been more likely to compromise lately. Like, you want to show them that, hey, even though I have this imperfection, I'm working on it and it's getting better. So that's what they're looking for there. However, it's not my favorite one at all. I think it's one of the harder questions to me. The sixth question that I got a lot was, what do you do to manage your stress and what do you do for self-care? And there they just want to know that when the program gets difficult, you'll have healthy ways to deal with stress. So this could be working out, this can be hang out with family, things like that. They want to know that you've thought about it and that you have healthy ways to manage stressful situations. The seventh question that I got very often is, tell me about a time you failed, which is also a difficult question if you haven't thought about it lately. So that's a question that caught me off guard the first time that I got it, and I'm pretty sure I probably made something up because that's not something, situational questions aren't easy to just like pop up, I think. So that's something you need to start thinking about. And what they want to see there again is that you learn from your mistakes and you know how to grow from them, and that you're not afraid of failure, because in school you're going to fail sometimes. You're not always going to be successful. You're not going to be perfect. You're learning something totally new. So they want to know that even when you fail, you find a way to make it work in your favor. The ninth most common question that I got was, am I prepared for the financial sacrifice that I'm about to make? That one I think is mainly relevant for something like a PhD, where you do get a stipend, but it's small. Usually you get around $3,000 a month. And what they want to see there is that entering the program won't cause too much extra stress in your life, because these programs are already stressful and financial stress just adds on to that. So just make sure that you think about your finances. What I did was let them know that I saved for this. I was working 2 jobs before I came into my program. I also did create a new budget for my new lifestyle and my new financial situation. And since I am a nurse, I get to work during breaks. So I just worked during winter break. I'm not sure that I told them that during the interviews, because I didn't know what my life was going to look like during this time. But thankfully I was able to work during winter break. So that's something that even if they don't ask you, you should think about, because school can sometimes be actually school is always a huge financial sacrifice, a huge financial investment. And then the 10th question is definitely more geared towards my research people, and that is, if you do have any publications, they are going to ask you about them. So brush up on them real quick before you go in. Even if you're not a first author on your publication, they still want to know what are the key points that you found in that research. So that's something that was a question that I didn't expect to get, but thankfully I was still working on my first publication at the time. I was still proofreading it for the billionth time. So when they asked me that, it was fresh in my mind. But that's a question that I get even now. When I tell people I have a publication, they ask me, oh, what's it about? Like, they just want to know the key points, the key things that I found out in my research. So those are the 10 most common questions that I've gotten in the countless grad school interviews that I've had. And I think some of those questions are really universal for all types of schooling, whether it's undergrad, grad school, med school, law school. I think some of those questions come up very often, all those things, and even in jobs. So I hope that they help you out and help you prepare for your grad school interviews and help you get into your dream schools. If you have any questions or need any additional support, my DMs are always open. The comment section is open. So just let me know, and good luck. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to watch my other videos and keep an eye out for my next video. And don't forget to subscribe.